I didn't see you there. Did you come to visit me? Oh, well, it's always fun to visit Leanne the lawyer. I know. Do you have questions? Probably. This topic today is going to be about terms, memorizing terms. Now, we don't like memorizing because what we want to do is we want to apply terms. But when you're having a test and they have a bunch of vocabulary words that you're not familiar with, a lot of times we fall into the trap of just memorizing those terms and not really understanding how to apply those. So instead of going over the terms that you've been assigned this week, I want to give you some tips on what to do with those terms, because the terms aren't hard. One of the terms is like perjury. So think about that. Perjury. You've heard that before. That sounds familiar. Very basically, that's somebody not telling the truth. But they're not telling the truth under a specific situation. It's whenever they're in court, okay? They're under oath, and they're telling something that is not true, and they're asking people to take it as the truth and to say, I'm saying this because it's a fact. That's perjury. So, it's thinking about it in context. So again, I'm not going to bore you with a video going over all of the terms that you're supposed to know for this week or next week or the week after. Okay, you can do that on your own because you can look at these terms and the concepts aren't that bad. But what I want you to be able to do is take those terms, understand them, so that you're not simply just memorizing them, and I know you have to do that at first, is just sort of become familiar with them, but just memorizing them and be able to spit out some kind of a definition doesn't really help anybody in the long run. So I'm going to do a little bit of origami here. Origami, that's the ancient art of paper folding. I am not good at any kind of arts or ancients or foldings, but I can fold a piece of paper. Now, why am I doing origami? Well, one of the things that I like to do when I get a list of words that I'm unfamiliar with, or things that I know I'm going to be tested on, I will fold a piece of that. I don't even know what this is. I think it's a piece of paper. Oh, good, I got it that time. Okay, so a piece of paper, I folded it in half, like so. Yes, look at that. Like Houdini, I am magic. So I folded it in half, and so what I do is on one side of the paper, I will write my term. So I would write perjury up here, okay? On the other side, oh my gosh, I would write the definition of perjury, okay? So as I'm studying on this side, I would just have vocabulary terms, and on this side, I'm just going to have definitions. I can take this sheet of paper, okay, and I can lay it across my notebook with just the terms on one side. And on this other piece of paper, I can write the definitions. And then to see if I'm correct, I can flip it over and I can match the terms to the definitions. Now, some of you are like, I always do that, dude. Okay, well, cool. I'm glad you're way ahead of the game. But you may have forgotten to do it. Or you may think, oh, I'm in college now. I don't need to do this kind of stuff. Well, the fact of the matter is that we all need to do it, no matter how old you are. And I'm quite young and youthful, as you can tell. So I'm going to be doing this for many, many, many years because I hear you need to do this even when you become middle-aged. The other thing that I like to do with origami is, besides just using my paper for that, I can, listen, I'm tearing paper, I'm being destructive, okay? I can make little squares, and on one side of the square I can write the term, and on the back I can write the definition. This is commonly referred to as a flashcard. I'm sure you're familiar with that. But let's take it up a notch, and that's where your assignments are going to ask you to use some critical thinking and get a little bit ahead of the game. Okay, so now that you know, you're going to know the definition, you're going to know the term, you're going to know the definition. These assignments are going to ask you to put that term into a sentence. Okay, so let's say the term that I wanted you to learn was middle-aged. Now that can be used in some other context. We might be talking about the Middle Ages, which was an historical time period, and I was not alive during that time. I don't think so. Anyway, not a historian. But what about middle-aged? Okay, this is someone that has reached the middle of their life. Okay, let's pretend that's the definition. Okay, now let's use it in a sentence. The sad middle-aged lawyer thinks that she's younger than she is. He, he, he. Okay, so I've taken middle-aged and I put it into a sentence, but does it really tell the reader that I understand what middle-aged means? I simply used it to describe a person, but I didn't say much more about that. I think I said the sad middle-aged lawyer thought she was younger than she was. That implies that there's something having to do with how many years she's been on this earth. But I think to truly make sure that the reader understands what we're talking about, we could say something like this. The middle-aged attorney who had reached her 40s thought that she was younger than she was. Okay, so now we have a little bit more information, and it shows the reader, oh, if I use context clues, I'm pretty sure that middle-aged means someone who's in their 40s. Does that make sense? All right, well, I'm going to go because I think that there's spiders out here, possibly bees, and that would not make me happy, but I'm doing my best to be outside. Thank you for your attention, and good luck with this week's assignments.